What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with the Mariners post-game recap. Before I get started and dive into this game, we got a lot to talk about. Thank you again to all the new subscribers, all the views, 1,500 views and still going on my post-game from last night. So thank you guys for doing that. Can't believe 1,500 people even clicked on a post-game video of mine. But if you are new here, please hit that sub button at 1,906, maybe 2,000 in this one. We'll see. That's my goal. So let's see if we can do it. Hit that sub button, smash the like button as well. That just helps get the video out to more people. Mariners lose this one 1-0 in 10 innings to the Orioles. I'm going to talk about big picture. We're going to talk about this game in a vacuum. Big picture, excuse me, you know what? In a vacuum, I'll start there. Super frustrating loss. Super frustrating to have George Kirby go out there and throw 9 dominant shutout innings against a really good offense and to lose that game. But boy, they honored Felix Hernandez the way they know how, didn't they? That was Felix has seen plenty of that in his time in Seattle. That seemed like a vintage Felix Hernandez game. Brought back some bad memories, unfortunately. Because man, that was vintage Felix. 9 shutout innings and then blowing the game in the 10th and losing it 1-0. Big picture, guys, take a deep breath. They've won 8 in a row. They were not going to go 110-52. Baltimore's a really good baseball team. They were not going to be easy to sweep. In fact, they have not been swept in over a year. You played them really well, unfortunately. Like, the Mariners are 3-3 against the Orioles this year with a +17 run differential. The Mariners have won 2 blowouts against the Orioles. They've played 3 toss-up games, and they've just been on the bad end of all 3. In May or June, I'm way more upset about this loss. I am. A couple weeks ago, I'm way more upset about this loss. Listen, if it starts snowballing, that's not good, but it hasn't snowballed yet. Let's wait and see what happens. It's 1 loss. They've won 8 in a row. And before that, not even just 8 in a row. They've won like 25 of 35 or something like that. Take a deep breath. They have a chance to win a series tomorrow, and then you start a series against a bad Kansas City team. So take a deep breath, everybody. Don't let this get you too down or anything like that. Now, the game itself was very frustrating. No doubt about that. There was a lot in this game that was frustrating. But big picture, not the end of the world. They're still a half game back at Toronto. Toronto lost today. They did lose some ground in the division into Houston. That stinks. And to Tampa. Tampa won. The teams behind you all lost to Boston and New York. You're still in great shape here. You still absolutely control your own destiny in terms of games you need versus Toronto. So deep breath on the big picture. Not the end of the world. Losses are going to happen. They, like I said, they weren't going 110-52. They're not going 109-53. So from that aspect, throw it away. Try to get over it. Now, from the game itself, like I said, very frustrating because you really want to win George Kirby against Cole Irvin, and you also want to win that game when George Kirby throws 9 shutout innings. Not fun to lose a game when you do that. Now, to Cole Irvin's credit, he threw the ball well. His cutter was sharp. The Mariners had a very early season Mariners offensive performance. I'm not going to rip them too much. They've been fantastic since July. They just couldn't get anything going tonight. You are going to have games like that. Again, and an extra innings, they didn't really do anything wrong there either. They continue to not be able to hold runners on base. Cedric Mullins steals third base. More on Munoz than Murphy. Relievers are never much for holding runners on, but man, Munoz has that really, really long delivery. Baltimore gets a run out of it. Man, Felix Bautista is so good. I don't get into any of that social media stuff. I know there's a lot going on with some of the King Felix stuff, but my gosh, is him and Cano. You weren't going to get runs off those guys. I mean, if you do, it's by a miracle. And the Mariners almost did miracle themselves a run off of Cano. There was a walk to, who walked in front of Ty? Because Ty was hit. Gino had a nice walk. Ty was hit by a pitch. You had a chance there in the 8th inning to maybe bloop one in against him and take that 1-0 lead and get it there. Maybe in the 10th with the runner at second, you've got a chance against Bautista. But even there, man, good luck. Good luck against that guy. In terms of some of the managerial decisions, I did see some people. I had one person ask me if they thought Rojas should have bunted in the 10th inning. I don't think so. You saw what Bautista did to Julio. Struck out Julio, struck out Gino. The bunt, even if you get it down, against Bautista is just not going to do you a whole bunch of good. Maybe if it's 0-0, I think about it, because then you're like, hey, base hit, sac fly, anything wild pitch literally wins this game. Maybe it's 0-0. I'm doing it. Down 1-0. I'm not. I'm hoping that you just find a way, find a way somehow to get that run in. Listen, I still think Josh Rojas is going to be a useful player, but there's a big difference between useful and being able to do something against Felix Bautista. I mean, so for the people bashing Josh Rojas, listen, I know he hasn't been great since coming over to Seattle, but I mean, Julio struck out on 4 pitches against against Bautista. Like, guys, if you're going to get on Josh Rojas, shouldn't be for an at-bat against Felix Bautista. If you want to get in the offense, you got to get on the first 5 to 7 innings. Like I said, I thought Cole Irvin threw the ball well. You got to find a way to get at least 1 run. Again, I'm not talking about getting 4, 5, 6 runs here. I feel like I'm speaking deja vu from what I've been saying in the past when they've had some struggles. But that leadoff double by Dylan Moore in the 3rd or 2nd, wherever that was, you've got to find a way to scrap out a run. You've got to find a way to get one there. Or like I said, you can say Irvin Sharp, but you have to find a way to get 1 or 2 runs off of him. He should not be shutting you out for 5 innings. And then, like I said, those bullpens really good. Webb's got that nasty changeup. Perez is tough on lefties. And Cano Bautista is about as good of a 1-2 punch as there in baseball. Your only real hope was hoping Munoz could get out of that 10th, and then they either go away from Bautista or you get into the 11th with Bautista. The good news is you might not have Bautista tomorrow. So, from that aspect, I guess, take a deep breath, or not take a deep breath, but some good news there. He might be unavailable tomorrow. We'll see. I don't know if the Orioles are off Monday. That might factor into that. So that could be some good news for the Mariners if it's another close game in late innings there. So, listen, I'm not trying to just be all sunshine and rainbows or all dismay. I'm trying to be there's that middle ground with games like this. And this is a tough one. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm struggling with what emotions to have here. Because, like I said, big picture, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Again, they weren't going to win the rest of their games. And this is a good team. This isn't like when Washington came in here and took 2 out of 3 or, whatever. That extra inning game against the Nationals where you left guys on against a really bad baseball team. Baltimore's good. Now they're more good for offense than starting pitching, but the bullpen's solid too. They're overall, they're a good team. They're going to get you. But I can't help but be just really frustrated that George Kirby pitched that game and you couldn't get him 1 run. And on Felix Hernandez's night too. I was going to be so excited if they won that game for Felix on his Hall of Fame induction tonight. That got me emotional watching that, seeing Felix there, and just Felix was really the first player for me. When I was a kid, Griffey was already established. Edgar was starting to get established, early 90s. I did see A-Rod come up, but I was a kid. I didn't appreciate it as much. And then A-Rod, went to Texas and didn't really end on the best terms. I'm good. We're all good now, I think. But, at the time it was very hasty. Ichiro was great, but he started his career in Japan, so he wasn't really a homegrown talent. Randy a little bit, but again, I was kind of like Randy was there when I got into it. So Felix was the first one that I just, I was an adult when he made his career, when he started his career, young adult, but an adult, and saw it all the way up into my 30s, into my mid 30s. So, really being with Felix, man, I probably at some point watched at least a clip of every single Felix Hernandez start. Now, I'm sure I didn't watch every game, and I was working during some. I probably missed a couple, but for the most part, I saw every Felix start that was made. So super emotional there, and congrats to him on going to the Mariners Hall of Fame. And this team is lucky they won 8 in a row because, man, I want to rip into them so bad for doing that on Felix's night. I really want to, but I'm not. There's 10 games over 500. Switch last night with tonight and we're all okay. I always say to do that. So go win the series tomorrow. Still got a chance to do it. Hopefully Bryce Miller's going to be up to task. I'm a little worried about him against the Orioles lineup. I'm not going to lie about that. And Bradish has been pretty solid for Baltimore. So we'll see what happens. But until that happens, I can't get frustrated at a game that hasn't happened yet. But I'm trying to think of anything else, really. got some runners on. Just, if you want to get on anything here, like I said, for the offense, it was the 5 Cole Irvin innings. You need to scratch out a run or two there. Other than that, I don't have much else to say on it. Bounce back tomorrow. Looking big picture, not the end of the world. Maybe who am I trying to convince? You guys or myself on that? Maybe I'm not sure on that one. Maybe I'm trying to convince myself, but I am I'm not joking. I am a little bit in between. I probably should have waited maybe a half hour to do the post game, but I am okay because they won 8 in a row. But I am also really frustrated because of what happened with George Kirby tonight. And you don't like a guy goes 9 shutout innings. You don't like saying you lost that game. And you get worried that you're going to look back in the end of the year. And Kirby had 2 complete games this year, gave up a combined 1 earned run in those, and the Mariners went 0-2. You really don't want that to happen because you're not going to get those, especially in modern baseball. You just don't get those. So you hate to see that wasted. You really do. Had they lost this game 13-0, I probably would have been more like, well, whatever, just like brush it off. But man, this game was winnable. All right, move on. Let's go get it tomorrow. Got a chance to win the series here. You're still in great position for the playoffs. Still control your own destiny with everything here. So deep breath, everybody. Step back from the ledge. Let's go get it tomorrow. And maybe we'll honor Felix. Maybe we can honor Felix on his bobblehead day. That's something. Maybe, right? I'm going to go ahead and take off. Have a great night, everybody. Enjoy what's left of your Saturday night. Keep your heads up. Be thankful for George Kirby. We can talk about how frustrating that loss was to have him do that, but how great of a pitch game was that for George Kirby. So looking at it for a positive, man, was George Kirby magnificent tonight. And he's going to be here for a lot of years. So there's a nice positive note to end on. Have a great night, everybody. I will see you guys all tomorrow. I'm not sure what time tomorrow I'll be on. It might be a little later tomorrow, but I will definitely have a post-game recap. I'm going to try and go live for the game on Monday in KC. So have a great night, everybody. As I said for the 3rd time, as always, go Mariners. Peace.